always thought the most shocking moment of my life would be something obvious. A car accident, a medical emergency, some awful tragedy that the news cycles love to sensationalize. I never thought it would be this. I never thought it would be the sight of my 34-year-old husband cradling our neighbor's newborn and holding the baby to his bare chest, pretending to breastfeed. I didn't scream. I didn't faint. I didn't even breathe. I just stood there, frozen in the doorway of the nursery. A room we'd planned together, painted together, filled with toys and hope and stupid Pinterest boards of future family goals. A room that was supposed to be for our baby. The one we could never have. My husband, Ethan, didn't notice me at first. He was rocking gently in the chair, humming a lullaby I'd heard him hum only once, at my sister's baby shower 2 years ago when he held my niece for the first time. He sang with this aching softness, like every note was carved out of longing. This time, though, was wrong. So wrong. The baby, our neighbor's 5-week-old son Oliver, suckled sleepily at nothing, a tiny fist curled against Ethan's ribs. And Ethan whispered, "Daddy's here. Daddy's here." That was when my breath finally snapped out of my lungs. Ethan. He jolted like he'd been shot. The baby cried. Ethan stood, panicked, clutching the child like a shield. "Grace, this isn't, I can explain." But every word he said only made everything worse. Because in that moment, I realized something terrible. This wasn't the first time. And deep down, some part of me already knew it.
And while I'm getting started, don't forget to subscribe. This is where we'll find the wildest family dramas, real-life revelations, and stories you won't be able to tear yourself away from.
My name is Grace. I'm 31. And I have spent the last 6 years building a life around a man who was quietly falling apart. Not that he ever showed it. Ethan was the kind of man who wore competence like armor. He had the calm, steady hands of someone who could reassure anyone, except himself. He was a paramedic, always the first to help, the last to rest. People in the neighborhood said he was the man you want around in a crisis. I used to believe that too. What people didn't see was what happened behind closed doors. The long nights when he sat on the bathroom floor, staring at old pregnancy tests that never showed 2 pink lines. The bitterness he swallowed every time someone asked when we were finally going to start a family. The way he avoided baby stores like they were graveyards. We tried everything. Treatments, surgeries, medications, ovulation calendars, vitamins, diets, marriage counseling, more treatments. And after every disappointment, he would tell me, "It's okay. We'll get there. I'm fine. I'm fine." But he wasn't fine. Every failed attempt carved something out of him. Every doctor's appointment turned into another funeral for the dream he wanted more than anything, to be a father. I knew he was grieving, but I didn't know he was unraveling. And I definitely didn't know how far he had fallen until that day. Our neighbor. The single mom he became obsessed with. Her name was Mia. 26 years old. New to the neighborhood. Quiet, polite, a little overwhelmed by life. She lived alone with her newborn, Oliver, and she always looked exhausted. The kind of exhaustion that turns your bones to dust. Ethan noticed her immediately. Not in a romantic way. I never sensed that. It was something else. Something paternal. He offered to help her with groceries. Then with assembling baby furniture. Then with driving her to appointments. Then with holding the baby so she could nap. Then with checking in because newborns are unpredictable. I didn't think anything of it at first. Ethan loved helping people. He always had. But over time I noticed things. He talked about Oliver constantly. He saved pictures of the baby on his phone. He bought toys for the house in case Mia visits. He printed a photo of himself holding Oliver and put it on his desk. He started reading parenting blogs again, something he had stopped doing years ago. But the worst sign came a week before everything exploded. He came home smelling like baby lotion. I didn't say anything. I should have. Back to the day everything broke. He stood there with the baby trembling in his arms, and he kept whispering, "Grace, please, let me explain." Explain what? Explain why our neighbor's newborn was in my house. Explain why he was holding the baby like his own. Explain why he was pretending to breastfeed. Felt sick. What are you doing with him, Ethan? Asked, my voice shaking. Why is Oliver here? He swallowed so hard I heard it. Mia, she needed a break. She trusts me. She trusts you to take her newborn into our house without telling her. Without telling me. He hesitated. And that hesitation was the answer. I rushed forward, reaching for the baby. Ethan flinched, turning his body away. Don't, Grace, don't take him. He's calm. You'll scare him. It's not your baby. The words came out sharper than a blade. And Ethan broke. His face crumpled, and for the first time in years, he let himself cry, loud, ugly, desperate tears that came from a place so deep I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. You don't understand, he whispered. Grace. I feel like he's mine. My skin turned to ice. What are you talking about? I whispered back. He looked at me with the haunted sincerity of a man who genuinely believed his own delusion. I love him, Grace. I love him like he's my son. The conversation that destroyed our marriage. I told him to sit down. I told him to hand me the baby. I told him to breathe. But Ethan shook his head, holding Oliver tighter. He needs me. Grace, he needs a father. And Mia, she's overwhelmed. I'm helping. I'm doing what's right. You're taking another woman's baby into our home without permission. That is not helping. He looked stunned, as if the idea of boundaries was foreign to him. He cries less with me, Ethan said, his voice cracking. He sleeps on my chest, he knows me. He's a baby. Babies sleep on anyone's chest. No, he whispered fiercely. Not like this. That was when I knew something was seriously wrong inside my husband's mind. Not just grief. Not just longing. Something deeper. Something dangerous. Took out my phone. Grace, he begged. Please don't call anybody. Don't ruin this. Not this. I wasn't calling the police, not yet, but I was calling Mia. Except she didn't pick up. And that terrified me more than anything. The text that changed everything. After 6 calls, Mia finally answered with a text. Mia, Grace. Is everything okay? I'm in the ER. The ER. My heart dropped. Ethan has Oliver. Did you know he took him? Mia, what? No. Mia, is my baby okay? Would you please tell me he's okay, please, please? He's safe. Come here now. Ethan saw the text. He froze. Then he whispered. Grace, why would you do that? She'll overreact. She'll take him away from me. He's not yours to take away from. He shook his head. I take care of him. Feed him. Soothe him. You do not feed him. And then Ethan said the most horrifying sentence I've ever heard. I can stimulate lactation if I try hard enough. Some men can. I read about it. I'm working on it. I felt like vomiting. I didn't know what to say. There were no words for this level of delusion. But before I could respond, we heard a car screech outside. Mia was here. The confrontation. She burst through the door pale, sweating, her wrist wrapped in a hospital band. She had apparently fainted earlier from stress and dehydration. When she saw her baby in Ethan's arms, she screamed, Give him to me. Give me my baby. Ethan backed up, horrified, like she was the threat. Not him. Mia, wait. He's sleeping, don't upset him. Ethan, what is wrong with you? Neighbors started gathering at the door. Someone was recording. I could feel the walls closing in. The entire neighborhood watching the biggest disaster of my life unfold in real time. Eventually, after almost a full minute of horrifying tension, Ethan slowly handed Oliver back. Mia grabbed her son and clutched him to her chest, sobbing so hard she could barely breathe. I trusted you, she whispered. You said you were helping. You said, oh my God, what were you doing? What were you doing? Ethan fell to his knees. I wish I could say I felt compassion in that moment. But all I felt was dread. Because I knew what came next. And I knew nothing would ever be the same again. What happened after the incident? The police were called by a neighbor who saw everything. Thankfully, the officers quickly realized Ethan hadn't physically harmed Oliver, but the psychological instability was obvious. It wasn't a criminal case. It was a mental health crisis. Ethan was placed on a psychiatric hold for evaluation. Mia moved out 2 days later, shaken to her core. And me. I sat alone in the nursery, our empty, useless nursery, staring at the rocking chair where Ethan had held someone else's child like it was his own. Every creak of the chair felt like a ghost haunting me. The breakdown and the truth. When Ethan was released, he was calmer, medicated, and very small, like a balloon that had been deflated. Talk. 4 hours. 4 days. And the truth came out slowly, painfully. He wasn't in love with Mia, he wasn't trying to kidnap the baby permanently, he wasn't trying to replace our future child maliciously. He was trying to replace the void inside himself. He confessed that he had begun imagining Oliver was his. He convinced himself the baby chose him. He even fantasized about co-parenting with Mia. About living a second life where he finally got to be a father. His mind had twisted longing into obsession. I didn't mean to hurt you, he told me. Or Mia. Or anyone. I broke, Grace. I broke completely. I believed him. But believing him didn't mean I could stay. Some fractures can be mended. Some cannot. The decision left. Not out of anger. Not out of punishment. Out of necessity. I needed to rebuild myself. Apart from the ruins of a dream that had destroyed us both. I needed safety. I needed clarity. I needed air. Ethan is still in treatment. He sends letters sometimes, full of apologies and desperate hope, but I haven't responded yet. Maybe one day I will. Maybe one day he'll be okay. Maybe one day I'll be ready to talk. But for now, all I have is the lesson. The lesson I want you to take from my story. People break quietly. They fall apart in ways you don't hear. In ways you don't see, until the fracture becomes impossible to ignore. Ethan didn't become monstrous overnight. He became lost, lonely, grieving, consuming himself with a longing he never allowed himself to express honestly. And when pain goes unspoken long enough, it becomes something else, something dangerous. If you take anything from my story, take this. Grief needs air. Dreams need honesty. And love cannot save someone who refuses to face the darkness inside themselves. I walked in on my husband breastfeeding a baby that wasn't ours. But the real horror wasn't what he was doing. It was how long he had been hurting before I ever noticed.